Congratulations. And I know you've done a good job keeping my seat warm. Took my place.
Justice Croskey, you're the best. Congratulations.
Walter, you're an excellent lawyer, a good judge, but a very far-right Republican.
Congratulations, Justice Croskey. We're so delighted to have you as our honoree. You are well beloved in the community and richly deserving of this award. Enjoy your evening.
Hey, Judge, it's Tina here. I'm so happy we're honoring you tonight. Congratulations. Nobody could possibly have deserved it more.
Walt, it's been such a great pleasure to see you again, and especially on this evening, which is your evening where you're being so honored. I've just been approached to share a few words, and I think I just have. I think we go back quite a ways, and I can still remember the times that we spent together during the evenings that we did on Point Doom, and now here we are down here, and you're an honoree of a wonderful institution. All the very best and congratulations.
Justice Croskey, I know no finer Republican. You are one of the finest people I've ever had the pleasure of getting to know on the bench. I always enjoy our opportunities to cross paths and work together, and this is a fitting honor for a most distinguished career and a most beloved human being. Congratulations.
In this great repository of learning, I can't imagine a better recipient of this award than you, Walter. You brought such dignity and scholarship to the court. You've written books, you've written brilliant opinions, you're an expert in almost every field of the law. So all I can say is congratulations, and when I grow up, I hope I can be like you.
Walter, it's great to be here on this night honoring you. You've done a lot of great things. You certainly deserve this award. Look at all the people here. This is a testament to the impact you've had on the legal profession, and it's been a fabulous impact, and tonight is a worthy night for you. Congratulations.
Justice Croskey, congratulations on this well-deserved award. You're an outstanding jurist, and you are a beacon of light in the California judiciary. I've appeared before you many times, and I always felt I got a fair hearing, and I think you are a scholar and a gentleman, and you are a credit to California's judiciary, so congratulations.
For Walter Croskey is one of the best, very best judges on the Court of Appeal now or ever. We don't agree whether the sun rises in the east or the west, but I respect him, I admire him, and I'm fond of him, and he deserves this honor tonight.
Okay, this has been a long time coming, and it's very well deserved, and I couldn't be happier or more pleased for you to get this honor. Cheers.
It's so noisy in here. I don't know if you'll hear this, but I'm so happy for you, and it couldn't be given to a more deserving person, and I hope I get to see you. Take care.
The Beacon of Justice Award is an extraordinary achievement for anyone awarded the award by the board. We know that each and every one of you is deserving of it, and it provides a very special focus on your career, your contributions to the legal profession, and a great example for our young lawyers.
Justice Croskey is my colleague. I'm very fortunate that he's my colleague, that we're on Division 3 together. He is such a good friend, and we have such good discussions about all of our cases. Walter is a wonderful lawyer and a wonderful friend.
I've never known a finer judge than Walt Croskey. I doubt that there is one. He's everything that you would want in a judge, and particularly in an appellate judge. He's smart, he writes well, he works hard, and above all, he's dedicated to getting it right, and he gets it right. It's been a pleasure to work with him.
Best wishes for many, many more decisions and many more distinguished years on the bench.
Justice Croskey fully deserves this award. I had the honor to serve with Justice Croskey on the Casey Committee for many years, and the hours and hard work that he devoted to making sure that our jury instructions were understandable was phenomenal. Congratulations, Justice Croskey.
I'm absolutely delighted that the Friends of the Los Angeles County Law Library honored Justice Croskey this year with the Beacon of Justice Award. The people of the state of California have been very fortunate to have Justice Croskey serving on the Court of Appeal with distinction and integrity and intelligence for all these many years. And I am personally absolutely delighted that he's received this honor. It is so well deserved, and I just want to say, Justice Croskey, congratulations.
To being our honoree, and that's Justice H. Walter Croskey, and we will be honoring him tonight with our Beacon of Justice Award. His story is well chronicled in our display case, and you'll hear more from his colleagues. Over our first 10 celebrations, we've made friends and allies and honored many. And I'm so pleased to see you all here. From a small group committed to remembering Justice Mildred L. Lilly, Friends of the LA County Law Library was born, and we are ever so grateful. Many of you have been supporters for our first 10 events, and I hope you know who you are. Tonight we recognize you with your own plaque, and I hope you'll be sure to see it on the way out. In 10 years, a lot can change, and I know that Sandra Levin, our newest executive director, is going to share a lot of those stories. And even for all of you who read the Wall Street Journal on the weekend, you might have noticed the small blurb that talked about libraries this weekend, evolving from being mostly about books to places focused on their local communities. But what does remain, however constant the change is our commitment to provide the highest quality service, to be responsive and even anticipate your legal information needs. And of course, we couldn't do all of this without our dedicated and hardworking staff, nor the leadership of our trustees. I would ask all of the trustees and all of the staff who are here to stand and to be acknowledged. Just like there has been change to certain operations in our library, our board has changed. And it is, after 11 years as president, that I am pleased to share that I passed the gavel to Judge Ann Jones last month. Judge Jones, would you stand and be recognized? We are fortunate to have someone with her insight, her intelligence, and her care. I look forward to remaining on the board and working with her, the other trustees, and our friends. Shortly, I will turn the mic over to one of our longtime partners and 10-year sponsors, LA County Bar President, Patricia Denke. At this point in time, I hope there is champagne circulating in the room. I don't see the champagne circulating. So if you don't have champagne or some other fortified beverage, go pounce on the bartenders. But I wanted to specially mark this occasion, and one of those tasks I've gotten is selecting the wine for the gala, which is actually a great job. So for this 11th gala, I chose a California Chardonnay from an attorney and a winemaker, Jess Jackson. I didn't know how many of you knew in his former life. He had gone to Bolt Hall, and he had also been in law enforcement. So there's a future for all of us in Sonoma. I also chose a California Pinot Noir, whose name, Copain, translate loosely to buddies, because that's how I have come to think of many of you. Finally, what would a celebration be without champagne? So if you don't have it, because we're on a clock, you will have it later. And in that case, I would ask you to raise your glass. Here's to all of you who believe in our library, and to our law library's continued success. It has been a pleasure and an honor to serve, and I look forward to working with all of you. Cheers. And now, Patricia will be joining us.
Good evening. As president of the Los Angeles County Bar Association, it's my honor and pleasure to just be speaking briefly this evening, not only because of our relationship, our 10-year relationship with the Los Angeles County Law Library, but the relationship to celebrate it began over 100 years ago with the donation of the first books. And what could be more fitting than the combination of Los Angeles County Bar Association and all its many offerings, and the Los Angeles County Law Library with all its many offerings together, and we can offer everything to both the new admittee starting his or her practice and the rest of us who need the law library. And we are excited about offering all of our LA County Bar members membership in the law library. So I'm happy to be here to honor that, and also, of course, to honor scholars such as Justice Croskey, whose wisdom filled the books of this venerable institution. So I would also like to say thank you to the Law Library for coming to our new admittee reception, which was held last Thursday and attended by over 700 new lawyers. And they were all swarming the Law Library table. So thank you, and we look forward to the partnership that we have developed and continue to develop in the future. And cheers and best success. And congratulations, Justice Croskey, and thank you so much.
Welcome to LA Law Library. We are so excited to have you here. Whether you're here because of tonight's honoree, Justice Walter Croskey, as he is a model of fairness, scholarship, and respect for the law, or whether you're here because you appreciate the value of libraries, or this library in particular, each of you has demonstrated a commitment to justice and to the law. We want you to know that we share that commitment. LA Law Library maintains a world-class collection of legal resources. Just ask one of our reference librarians to tell you all the things we have that you can't find on Lexis or Westlaw. Or use our brand new website to search our catalog, and then check out the information about our members program, our room rentals, and our amazing lineup of MCLE classes. But we are much more than just the resources on the shelves or on a computer. We help our patrons find the information they need. And we are especially proud of the work we do helping those who do not have or cannot afford legal representation. Here are just a few highlights of recent developments. We have 2 new initiatives to extend our reach to those in need of service in other parts of the county. First, our fabulous professional law librarians are now roving to other parts of the county, providing a half day of office hours each week in various courthouses and public libraries spread throughout the county. Second, we have installed e-branches in 3 courthouses, with 3 more new sites to come online shortly, and hopefully more after that. These are digital resource stations with legal databases, as well as lay-friendly access to self-help materials, live chat to reference librarians in our downtown reference staff, and in-person service once per week from one of our roving librarians. We can't possibly afford to have staffed locations everywhere in the county that people need us, but we can provide digital service with weekly in-person support in many locations. We have a prototype of our e-branch off on the side over that way beyond the bar. We'd love to have you take it for a test drive tonight. You'll recognize it now when you see it in a courthouse somewhere. In October, we hosted the first ever free public legal services fair in LA as part of our Pro Bono Week celebration. In a single day, over 1,000 people came to take classes, participate in workshops, or receive free consultations from legal and social service providers. We plan to hold the fair again this year. Law Week starts later this month. Pick up a flyer. They look like this on the bookcases around you. Or look on the website for the incredible free programming that we're offering this year at Law Week. We also expanded our year-round clinics and workshops and now have a monthly divorce options workshop, a weekly eviction defense counseling program, a monthly expungement clinic, a monthly adult name change workshop, and regular trial preparation clinics. We have recurring immigration and citizenship programs, covered California healthcare workshops, and growing partnerships with pro bono and legal aid providers too numerous to mention. In short, LA Law Library has become an integral part of access to justice in our community. By being here tonight and by supporting LA Law Library, you are engaged for the public good. So we hope you are as excited to be here tonight as we are to have you. I'd like to thank my Board of Trustees and acknowledge Susan for her tremendous support in my first year as Executive Director and in the decade before that. And Susan, stay tuned. We're planning a special event to honor your remarkable contributions as well. Of course, none of this would be possible without the dedicated support group that we have, the Friends of the Los Angeles County Law Library. So it is my great pleasure to introduce and to thank Stephen Alexander, the president of the Friends Group, who, despite all the other demands on his time, somehow manages to make the preservation of this institution a priority. Thank you, Steve, and thank you to all of our friends and supporters who are here tonight from all of us here at the Law Library.
As chair of the Friends of the LA County Law Library Board, I want to welcome you to our 11th Gala. I want to thank you for coming and for your support of the Law Library. Together, these galas have not only celebrated and acknowledged the contributions of our honorees, many of whom past honorees are here tonight with us, but have provided in excess of $2 million to support the Law Library and the wonderful projects that Sandy has mentioned. I want to recognize the following elected officials present. My Mayor Isaiah Brown of the City of Compton, where we have a branch, the City of Los Angeles Controller Ron Galprin, Council Member Paul Krikorian, Council Member Corinne Price, Monica Garcia, member of the LA Board of Education, Nedra Jenkins, standing in for Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, and Elisa Katz for Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky. I also want to recognize the extreme turnout from our judiciary tonight. I think it's a tribute to our honoree that we have in attendance over 60 current and retired judges and justices. I don't think that there's a bar event that I've been to in the last decade where the percentage of members of the judiciary and former members of the judiciary matched that here tonight. I want to thank them for making this. I also want to thank those who have made this evening possible. Really, I'm just the chair. The work is done by many others. First of all, my board, Susan Steinhauser, who is the Energizer bunny behind this place and many other things. Marsha Kozloff, who was the former executive director and now is the executive director for the Friends. Sandy and the wonderful staff who have volunteered their time tonight at the Law Library. Charlie Dobbs, who is in retirement but is our event coordinator. And last but not least, about time, our caterer for the fantastic food. And now I'm going to turn the podium over to, in order, and this is a great lineup here, Justice Joan Dempsey Klein, Justice Patty S. Kitching, and Justice Richard D. Aldrich to share their stories about our honoree, Justice Walter Croskey.
People do, and I appreciate every one of them. I'm not sure I'd be here tonight, but for the fact that you're honoring a really, really great guy. But enough said in that department. I had the glorious good fortune when H. Walter Croskey was appointed to Division III back in November 1987, okay? I'll never live down my first salutation to him. I didn't know who he was, and we were standing around, and I saw him standing around, and I went over to him and I said, "Are you the one?" And he's never let me forget that. And he was the one. So we have been together for some 28 years. I mean, that's a long time, a long time. That's about as professional as you can get in terms of a relationship of the judiciary. Later, we were joined by Justices Kitching and Justice Aldrich, and that began an odyssey of successful appellate work lasting to this day. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you know anything about the judiciary, if you know anything about the appellate courts, you recognize that Division III is an outstanding division in the state of California in terms of its scholarship and in terms of its work product. And over the years, in that process, I have come to the conclusion that Justice Croskey, and I kid you not when I say this, has the best legal mind that I have encountered in all the days that I've been as a lawyer and as a judge. And I have seen him work with us in our private conversations when we're deciding cases among ourselves and getting ready for oral arguments, and I have seen him in oral argument. I have seen him go from torts to contracts to insurance law, to criminal law, seamlessly, just moving right along like that. I'm in awe. And I said, what's he going to do? Where is he going next? And he has that ability. He has so much of a store of knowledge of the law that he can do that. He just moves right along. And when we're in our private sessions among ourselves, and sometimes we have our students in there with us and our law clerks, and he has a rapport with them, and they'll throw something out, he'll pick it up and run with it. It's astounding. I don't know that he's going to show you any of that extraordinary legal mind tonight when he speaks to you, but believe me, it is absolutely extraordinary. And how fortunate for all of our division, given the outstanding caliber of my other justices. They're extraordinary people too. And to have this man among us and to have our appreciation for him the way it is and the recognition of his qualities. I can't tell you. It's almost like, I don't go to work. I come down here and we sit around and we do things together, and we have such a respect and fondness for each other that it's almost like, Jesus, they're paying me to do this? And Justice Croskey has challenged us all along the way. And when we are among ourselves and working on our cases, there is nothing that interferes with the academic approach that we have, with the focus on what is the issue before us. There is no infighting, there's no snide remarks, there's no nothing except a profound respect for one another. And I would say this, sometimes there's a little humor thrown in, but it's been an extraordinary time for me to work with this man and with my colleagues. And I have to say something about his dear wife. Since I'm the PJ, I'm always calling somebody about something. And his wife, Diane, is understanding and doesn't say, why don't you get off the damn phone? She accepts that I have issues that I want to discuss, and she's very warm and friendly in that regard. So, bottom line, I want to say that you are honoring one of the finest justices that this state, or any state, has ever seen in the Honorable H. Walter Croskey. I am pleased to be a part of this. I'm pleased to have been in all the years that we've been working together, having the opportunity to resolve cases, we do them and we put them out, and there's never a snide remark among us. There's no bad talk among us. It's just a matter of respect and keeping your eye on the ball, and there it is. And that's what we've been doing all these years together. And that's why I'm here, to tell you what a great guy this guy is. And thank you very much for recognizing that also and making him a recipient of your award at this event. So thank you again.
The world's great men have not commonly been great scholars, nor its great scholars great men. That's Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr. Walter Croskey is the exception. He is a great scholar and a great man. And I have to say something about Diane right now, too, because we're talking about Diane, too. And I respect so much Walter because he adores his wife. And that's always wonderful to see. And I walk into his chambers and he's talking to Diane, and he is obviously so wonderfully enamored with his wife, and good for him. Of course, we all know Walter is a brilliant lawyer, but I must say he's been a good sport working with all of us, because in Division 3, we're all Bruins, and Justice Croskey is a Trojan. I know. We've had a good time over the years talking about the big football game in November when the Trojans play the Bruins. For years, the Trojans were winning year after year, but now the Bruins have come back strong. We also like Stanford and Cal and those places too. Justice Epstein is also a Bruin, and here's a little story about what happens in the Court of Appeal when we're not working hard on the cases. If UCLA defeats USC in football, Justice Epstein goes into Justice Croskey's chambers, takes away his chair, puts it in the bathroom, and replaces it with a UCLA chair. Justice Croskey then has to move his chair out of the bathroom, take the UCLA down the hall, back to Justice Epstein, and then listen to all of us talk about the UCLA game. It's been my privilege to work with Justice Croskey for 20 years. Over these 20 years, we've established such a collegial working relationship so that we feel free to frankly express our opinions about each other's cases. For example, a few years ago, I circulated a case to my colleagues, and after Justice Croskey read it, he came into my chambers and said to me, "You can't do that. That's what you call constructive criticism." I'm just kidding, of course, and I think he was right. It was something about agency. One of the joys of our division is that everyone is open to suggestions, even Justice Croskey, who knows so much. He's a very humble person who always wants to make his work product better, and he listens to anyone's suggestions about how to make the opinions better. We feel free in our division to add or subtract from our colleagues' opinion. We suggest. We make suggestions as to the grammar or the analysis, and then we talk about it. And we think we're trying to make a better work product, and I think we accomplish that. And we have wonderful discussions in our conference room, and as Justice Klein said, you raise a topic and Justice Croskey, he knows all those things you learned in law school, you know, about contracts, so he remembers all of that. So we are very, very fortunate that he is in our division. And one thing I think is interesting about Division 3 is sometimes you have a good experience and you look back on it a few years later, 10 or 15 years later, and you say, that was a good time. Those years were good. Well, I think we've begun to realize, since we've been together for 20 years, this is the good time. And we've been realizing this for several years now. We're very fortunate. It's very unusual for justices to be together this long and work so well together, and we appreciate it. And we certainly appreciate Justice Croskey, and I'm so happy he's been my colleague for 20 years, and I'm very happy he's my friend. Thank you.
Well, I'm up. We'll see if I can get down later. In preparation for tonight, I prepared a few notes. And Walter, at the top, I've denominated this a recirculating draft. More about that in a few moments. I'm very glad to be here this evening to honor an outstanding jurist, an outstanding lawyer, and as I've said more than once, you're a wonderful human being, Walter Croskey. Over the span of the last 20 years, and I'm last to speak tonight of Division 3. It's true we have been together for 20 years. I joined Division 3 in August of 1994, and I am still the junior justice in that division. Other divisions, people join and they move on up, but we enjoy our time together. Over the span of the last 20 years, I've had the pleasure of working with a uniquely gifted person. And during that time, I've had the opportunity of observing the quality of his legal skills and the quality of his character. Both are exemplary. I assume almost everyone here are lawyers, judges. Being a lawyer makes one very competitive. But I learned a lesson very young in life, and that is, if I wanted to improve my game, I had to compete against the best. In doing so, I learned how to be better. I improved my game. While being on the Court of Appeal is not a competition, but a collaboration, being a colleague of Walter has improved my game considerably. I've learned a lot in working with him. Working with Walter can be exciting, but I can tell you it can also be nerve-wracking. When you attack any legal issue, there are several levels of analysis. There's the superficial level, the obvious answer to the question. Then there's the not so obvious level of analysis as you dig deeper into the issue. And then there's a level that I call the opaque solution, which is not so obvious and takes a lot more drilling down deep. And of course, then when you get to the bottom, there's the Croskey solution to the problem. Walter is remarkable for a number of things. One is he's the king of the government code letter. Most of you have read Government Code 68601, and it provides basically that if the Court of Appeal is going to discuss or decide an issue that hasn't been briefed by the parties or raised by the parties in any of their briefs, then the Court of Appeal must send out that government code letter informing the parties that we're considering the issue and giving them a chance to brief it. In Division 3, like many other divisions, we get a monthly draw of cases. We then spend the month going through the record and going through the briefs, and then we're slowly going about crafting a bench memo, which is basically a draft opinion. We'll go through oral argument, but by the time we get to oral argument, we know the case. And it never ceases to amaze me that we'll be an oral argument on a case, even a case where perhaps I'm the lead author, and the lawyers have pretty much exhausted what they want to say to us, and it's pretty clear to me that the lawyers are ready to sit down. And then Walter will start out and start asking about an issue, and I'll say to myself, what the heck just happened? Where did he come up with that? And often as not, he's right, and sometimes that is the dispositive issue. Walter is also the king of the recirculating draft. Now, when we initially craft a draft opinion, we circulate it to the other two justices on the panel for their comments. After we have oral argument, we meet again for conference and talk about the oral argument, any issues that were raised by the attorneys. And it's not uncommon to have a recirculating draft with perhaps going the other way or perhaps some tweaks or additions. With Walter, that's not the end. It never is. There is always a recirculating draft, and Walter is rarely satisfied with that. Walter's a perfectionist. Just a few days ago, I got one of his recirculating drafts. We've had oral argument in the case, and the case is ready to file, and so I went through the recirculating draft, and I agreed with it, and I signed it, and attached to it was a blueback, which is the opinion that we filed with the clerk's office, and so I went ahead and I signed the blueback, thinking that was the end of the case. So we have lunch together every day, and I walked into the lunchroom and sat down and started to eat my lunch, and Walter said, "Oh, I made a few tweaks to that opinion just a few minutes ago." I said, "Oh my God." That's Walter. He is a perfectionist, and with each one of those tweaks, with each one of those recirculating drafts, the opinion just gets better and better. While your award to him this evening is most deserved, I think he's somewhat embarrassed by it. When he asked each of us if we'd speak on his behalf this evening, I asked him, "Well, Walter, what are you going to say?" And he said, I might just say thank you and sit down. Walter, I'd wish you'd do that at some of our conferences. If you were looking for a description of a perfect Court of Appeal justice, you couldn't find a better example than tonight's honoree. The author, Atul Gawande, in his book, The Checklist Manifesto, said this about a professional. All learned occupations have a definition of professionalism, a code of conduct. It is where they spell out their ideals and their duties. The codes are sometimes stated, sometimes just understood, but they all have at least three common elements. First is an expression of selflessness, that we who accept responsibility for others will place the needs and concerns of those who depend upon us above our own needs. Second is an expectation of skill, that we will aim for excellence in our knowledge and in our expertise. And third is an expectation of trustworthiness, that we will be responsible in our personal and professional behavior toward our charges. One might think that Dr. Gawande was writing a description of Walter Croskey. He fits that definition to a T. And so tonight, Walter, I salute you as my colleague and as my friend. Thank you.
Justice Croskey, would you come up here? great pleasure to present you with our Beacon of Justice Award.
Thank you very much. You want to put that down there? My first reaction is wow. I'm overwhelmed. Any of you who there's several in this room that I know of that have received this award probably know a little bit of how I feel. My colleagues, I have to, I think, first thank them for their great memory facility and forgetting all the things that they really probably could also say that they were kind enough to leave out. It is true, and I want to just make a brief echo of what my colleagues had said about this relationship we've had in this division. 20 years is a long time. That's a career in the judicial branch. And to have it all together and to work in the same appellate division is not only unusual, but if it works like it has worked in our division, it is a great source of satisfaction and a great pleasure. It has made coming to work every day something that we really cherish. And so I echo the comments that Joan made and that Patty and Richard said about that. It's very, very important to us, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I know that some lawyers, and justifiably so, may not agree with that way of doing business in the sense that, boy, those guys are predictable. They're right there, and we know how the Ninth Circuit works, for example. You don't know who your panel is going to be until a week or so before you even have oral argument. Not so here. Once you see a Division III on there, you know exactly who you're going to be in front of, and that may or may not be a good thing. From the point of view of the members of the court, however, I think it's been an excellent, excellent experience. I think, though, that this is the thing that is most necessary to say right now, and I think most judges would agree with it. I have to thank my staff. If you don't have a quality staff as a sitting judge, particularly an appellate judge, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And those who have held this position, I'm sure, would agree with that. And I would like, as a matter of personal privilege, if I may, take the opportunity to introduce you to my staff. That some I currently had, and a couple that I used to have that are no longer with me. In my 27 years on the Court of Appeal, I have had 2 secretaries. And I'd like Beverly Taylor, if she wouldn't stand up and let you see her. Come on, Beverly. Beverly worked for me for 16 years. And she came to me under unusual circumstances, somewhat humorous, and I won't go into it. But people were saying, are you working her too hard? And they had comments about whether or not, you shouldn't, because I'm one of these people that doesn't type. I'm pen and quill, really, and I do things with paper and pen, and that makes it very, very hard on a secretary who is constantly receiving the changes that Richard talked about. And one morning, when she became ill for a totally different reason, and the paramedics were called, and she's being wheeled down the corridor. People were wondering what in the world I was doing to her, and I had nothing to do with it. But good Lord, the optics were terrible. Anyway, God love you, Beverly. It was great having you that time, working with me until you retired in '04. And then she was succeeded by Rosanna Jaquez, who is my current secretary and has been so since, I guess, 2004, Rosanna. Stand up and say hello so everybody know who you are. And to be really honest, the real work, as every appellate judge knows, is done by your judicial attorneys who get in there and do the hard work of searching the record. And they make all the difference. And certainly that has been true in my division, and it has been true in my chambers. And so I would like you to meet and say hello to my three judicial attorneys that currently work for me: Sharon Perlmutter, Ben Ginsberg, and Marette Reitwald. Maretta, would you mind just standing up? Believe me, they are really good, and they make me look good, and for that I thank them. And also I have to mention one who used to work for me, who is also here and who's active in this group, and that's Tina Oren. Where are you, Tina? Well, if she left already, tell her that I wanted her, everybody to know. Are you there? You and Henry still here? Okay. Anyway, Tina worked for me for a number of years. Outstanding lawyer, and contributed to a lot of the opinions that I like to think I'm proud of. But they wouldn't have existed without the hard work of the attorneys that work for me. And also, let me also, as part of my personal privilege, take this moment to thank my wife, Diane. We've been married 51 years 2 weeks ago. And she means everything to me. Best decision I ever made in my life was to marry that girl. And I'm still very, very, very happy that I did. And all the things that I am, I think, are due to her. And finally, I would like to thank the Friends of the Los Angeles County Public Library. These are difficult financial times for the whole judicial system. Cuts are being made everywhere. The amount of public money that comes to this library, as I understand it, is just a small fraction of filing fees. And since 2009, those fees have been going down, reducing the income. I believe there's a statute enacted in 2005 that freezes the percentage of the filing fees that can be given to the library. And so their income is limited. And that makes things really difficult, and it illustrates how important it is what the Friends' work is. I recently read an article about how important libraries are to here in California. There's a statute that mandates there be one for every county, but as I say, their public income is limited. But there was a recent article I read in the Daily Journal I thought was worth quoting. It was written by the director of the San Diego County Law Library. Some of you may have seen it, and also by a Superior Court judge. And it said, well, some might say that in this new age of technology, libraries are no longer relevant, and all you need is an internet connection to access justice. That simply is not true when it comes to finding applicable laws and regulations. Law libraries are about so much more than the books they contain. A law library provides professionally trained people to help others find legal information that is relevant and current. They provide classes and education that empowers people to use the law in their own defense. And they provide an important link to free legal clinics and other community service programs that help people resolve their legal problems. We've heard about some of those this evening, and they are making a difference here. We are because of the financial problems that the judicial system has, we are in effectively threatening access to justice, particularly for poor people. And to the extent that this library continues to do the work that it does, and provides the services as far and wide in this county as they can, they're doing an enormous service to help alleviate that. And the Friends organization is to be commended for the work they're doing with respect to making the services of this library available. And it is particularly because of the Friends' involvement with that, and that the things that they're doing to help make this problem better, that I'm particularly honored and humbled by this award. Thank you very, very much.